I suggest that before you watch or listen to this podcast episode, that you go look up Kolbe, Kolbe, maybe Strengths Finders, and maybe you look up the word epic, get a real clear idea of what the definition of that word is. You maybe want to familiarize yourself with Culver's Menu, the burger place. But we're going to be talking with Justin Breen, who has written a book called Epic Life. And I was fortunate enough to be the audiobook narrator. We're going to talk about what it's like to be an entrepreneur, what it's like to have a family life as well as a business life. And we'll do that in this episode of the VOHeroes podcast. Justin Breen is a very simple man. He's a very interesting man. I feel like I got to know you during or at least a part of you during the narration of your book, Epic Life. And it isn't just Epic Life. It's Epic Life, how to build collaborative global companies while putting your loved ones first. And when I saw that, I thought, okay, another use of the word epic, because I was looking at everything that you do, your company being Brepic, and epic seems to be an interesting and important word for you. Why is that?
One, I'm very grateful to be on your show. I know you don't interview a lot of folks, so I really appreciate that, and thank you for reading the Audible of the book. I'm good at writing and was in broadcasting for a long time, but your voice is far superior to mine. And I've learned that if I'm not truly exceptional at something, then don't do it, and or have someone else who's much better do it for me. So thank you. The word epic, it's kind of funny because, as a journalist, would always just try to get it in a headline or in the text of a story. I just always thought it was a funny word. And people spend, millions of dollars with branding and coming up with a name for a company. So like when I started the first company a little over 5 years ago, after job salary was cut in half and couldn't find a job with zero business background, my wife surprised me for 40th birthday on the way up to Wisconsin. I'm like, I'll just call a company Brepic because BR, first two letters of the last name, and just like saying epic. So, multiple epic books and Brepic Network, Brepic PR, Brepic Scholarship, Brepic Founders Award, Brepic Youth Baseball Team. It's kind of funny. I just think it's funny.
So you're just kind of like trying to morph the word for the rest of the world from epic to Brepic.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah. Why not? Why not do that?
When you mentioned your other book, the other book is called Epic Business.
Right.
When you wrote that book, was there something in you that said, I got to check this box. This is something I need to do. I need to write a book. Or was it, there's a whole lot of information inside of me, and I think a book is the best way to get it out? I mean, some business people have this, this punch list that they have in terms of what they need to do to consider themselves or to have others consider them to be successful. And I'm wondering if there was anything there, because you're a Dan Sullivan guy. I know Dan really well.
Oh, you do?
I have plenty of friends who are part of strategic coaching, and I just, he's epic for sure.
What's your Kolbe?
I don't actually, I'm more of a strengths finder guy.
What are your top 5 strengths finders?
Top 5 strengths are teacher, learner, ideator, maximizer.
Yep.
And I forget my 5th one, but let me tell you a quick story about this. My girlfriend is actually a certified coach for Strengths Finder for Clifton. And when we first started dating, guess what she made me do?
Did Clifton Strengths Finders.
Yeah. And she said, she admitted to me later on, she said, listen, I love your strengths. If I didn't love your strengths, I don't think we'd be dating. And I'm like, wow, okay. Well, thank you, Clifton. Thank you, that. Anyway, so was it just or not just, but was it a punch list item for you,
Hmm?
or was it something that you just had inside you that you needed to get out?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question from a futuristic maximizer ideator. So that's a good one. So my strength finders, there's 34 of them. I'm 32 out of 34 in ideation, almost dead last. And top three are activator, maximizer, achiever. So
Achiever is my fifth one.
yeah, right.
Thank
So
you for
most of the
that.
people no problem. Yeah, I know the answers before. So most of the people I talk to are ideator and or futurists. So they're often ideal land, but they have a mix of activator, maximizer, achiever in it. So they'll do, because if you're often ideal land and you don't do anything, that's not a good. That's one, that's torture. Two, that's a pointless conversation. So the ideator futurists who are will do something about it now, they're very grateful for me because they can't simplify, and then they can't because they're all over the place with ideas, and I'm very low in that. But if I hear a good idea, I'm like, oh, I'll do that, activate, maximize, achieve. So that relates to your question, because for companies, 30-month anniversary, the first one, I published a list of 30 things that I'd learned from 30 of the top folks on planet in the first 30 months. So none of those ideas came from me. It was people like you. And so I posted that. I think at the time I had 40,000 followers on social media. And so everyone's like, this is before COVID. So they're like, oh, that's a good idea. Why don't you write a book on the 30 things? And they were printing it out, bringing it to meetings because it was in person. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I'll do that. So I wrote a book.
That's great.
Yeah, right. Thank
So
you.
it was actually inspired by something that you did to build your business.
I mean, it was inspired by here's how I built a company with zero business background that only partners with top people on planet.
Yeah.
I still don't know what an S corp is because I don't care about this. I don't even know what a business owner is. I don't care about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So then the second book is like, here's 30 more things I've learned, and then I talk to 1 to 2 people like us most of my days talking to the top entrepreneurs on the planet. So not business owners, not really humans. And so I talk to 1 to 2 about people like us every single week that have let entrepreneur life destroy their family life, or they never had a family. I'm like, well, that's a bad idea. I'm not going to do that. So that's what the new book's about. It's like, you don't have to destroy your family or not have a family or have meaningful relationships to have global companies. You don't have to do that. So that's the
Yeah.
point of it.
We talk about work-life balance. We see all kinds of articles in the usual suspect newsletters of work-life balance, and we see people struggling to achieve whatever the right work-life balance is for them.
Right.
The last few words of your subtitle is putting your loved ones first.
Right.
And family seems to mean the world to you. You put in a hierarchy what your priorities are, and family is right there.
Right.
I see you posting pictures of your kids at Little League, and your Insta's like, just rife with, hey, look what my kids did.
Well,
And
yeah, proud of them.
yeah. And I'm wondering what you have as your biggest goal for your kids. What would be a home run for you when your kids grew up and they look back on how they wended their way through life and your family? What would be a home run for you for them?
I'm very grateful you asked that. No one's ever asked that before. And your girlfriend will appreciate this. My sons, who are 9 and 8, have done Clifton Strengths Explorers. So that's the strengths finders for kids. So my 9-year-old.
That's great.
Yeah, right. Well, talk is meaningless to me without doing anything. So activate, maximize, achieve. So the 9-year-old, by the way, 2296 Colby, that's full maniac entrepreneur pioneer. That's a full maniac right there. Dan Sullivan's a 22104. So my 9-year-old is somewhat close to that. So I don't say that lightly. So his top 3 strengths explorers are competing, achieving, confidence. That's a good one to be an entrepreneur. And
Gotcha.
then the 8-year-old, who's a 3297, also full maniac entrepreneur, pioneer. He's 8. And his top 3 are achieving, competing, relating. So he's like full maniac who can relate to people, which is interesting to me. So those are their strength explorers. But so my father died when I was 13. As you know, he was a World War II hero whose diary from Battle of Herkin Forest was pretty good. Pretty good. That's my litmus test. People either get into a plane without a parachute after it was shot down, or they make an excuse. So I just don't make excuses. But he died when I was 13, and so I know what it's like not to have a dad around. And I will never be that person for my. I will not. I won't. I will be there for my children. So the greatest part of being an entrepreneur is that my kids get to see that this world even exists. Most people have no idea this world exists, and whatever they do with that is fine. Whatever they want to do with that is fine, but that's the greatest gift I can give them is 1, being a good dad, but 2, showing them that this entrepreneur world, global thinking world even exists.
Yeah. Woody Allen often says, 9/10 of being a successful actor is showing up, hitting your mark, and saying your lines. And it feels like you kind of embrace the notion that just being present is maybe half, maybe even more of the battle with your kids. There are so many parents who are absent in one way or another. They may be physically there, right? But yeah. So what's your metric for success when your kids go through a tough time, or when you go through a tough time? What's your metric for success when you take a look at, hey, how did we handle that? By the way, all of these questions that I'm asking, Justin, are things that you'll get clues on if you listen to the audio version or read the Kindle or physical version of Epic Life. So I'm just letting you know this is why I'm asking these questions.
Well, I appreciate that follow through on that really interesting question. So I only most folks like business entrepreneurs, they, their 10Xs, that revenue, office space, employee count. I don't care about any of that stuff. My 10Xing in life is only 2 things. 1, experiences in life with my family. If you have a good family life, you have a good life. I have not met an exception to that. I have never met one person that does not have a good family life that hasn't had a good life. If you know somebody like that, has a good family life, hasn't had a good life, I would like to meet that person. I don't think I will, but. And then the other one is network on a global level. When you increase your network on a global level, it creates endless opportunities for your network and yourself. So those are the only 2 10Xs that I care about. And when my family is struggling, which is very rare, by the way, they are high level achiever, competing, there's a big article, a local magazine just did a big cover story on my family, which it's mostly about my family, which I'm grateful for. But the headline of it is "No Excuses." The Breen family, no excuse. So I thought that was a perfect headline. Maybe that'll be the third. Epic No Excuses could be the 3rd book. That doesn't work well, but it'd be kind of funny. But when there are struggles, they're great learning experiences. If something happens at school, we really talk to the kids about it and like, oh, what did you learn from that? What did you learn from that? Or something happens outside of school, or you didn't win a game, or maybe struggled in something. Always double down on like, so what could have been done better, or how could you have improved yourself in this, or what did you learn from this? And so, full disclosure, I married a stabilizing human, thank God. My wife's a pediatrician, so I lean on her heavily for those type of situations. Thank God for her. She's the warmth, empathy, rules, lists, calendar items, parenting. Yeah. So thank God for that. But so my litmus test is, so I tell my kids, silly, okay, stupid, not. Misdemeanor, borderline okay, felony not okay. So that's my parenting. My wife's a little different. Felony bad, borderline misdemeanor. So, but I'm serious about that. Like, so my father was, he's 61 when I was born and survived World War II and Korea, and was an attorney in the Nuremberg Nazi war crimes trial. His best friend was assassinated, famous gangland slaying. So my dad had been through all of that. And then by the time he was, he was an old man who was retired, and he was just grateful to be alive. And so I got this little kid who was an old man with a little kid's heart raising me. So I'm like that. I'm like a old wisdom, 45-year-old body, childlike mindset of a 5-year-old. And that's regressing. That's getting it's probably a 4-year-old now. So it keeps going lower, but I enjoy that. And then my kids like it too. And then their friends do too.
Awesome. We're talking with Justin Breen, whose book, Epic Life, How to Build Collaborative Global Companies While Putting Your Loved Ones First, is available in paperback. It's available in Kindle. It's available in audiobook. I was fortunate to do the narration of it. Let me ask you about that whole notion. When you were writing the book, did you think about how it would land differently for somebody listening to it rather than somebody reading it?
Tremendous question. Of all the questions, I'm guessing you'll appreciate the input from this one the most because of how you serve folks. And I think this is good knowledge. So there's two things from this, probably more, but I'll focus on two. So most of my day is talking to the world's top entrepreneurs. Okay, that again, entrepreneurs. There's a fundamental difference between entrepreneurs and business owners and all that other stuff. So I was talking to one of those folks the other day who specializes in assessments and mental health and things like that. 30% of entrepreneurs, 30%, she's telling me, and she's got the credibility to have this answer, 30% are dyslexic, 30%.
Wow.
Yeah, right. That's what I said. I'm like, wow. Because I knew it was like, so here's entrepreneurs in 4 levels. 1, ADHD, which is not a disorder. It's sign of genius. 2 is minor Asperger's. 3 is dyslexia, and 4 is incredibly high IQ. So I see that. I did not think dyslexia was 30%. So book came out, the Kindle and hardcover, softcover came out in August, and then Audible just came out late September, early October. And a lot of those 30% are entrepreneurs, whether they were dyslexic or not, they were waiting for the Audible. They were waiting for that. So that's good. And my sons, they're not dyslexic, but my wife reads to them, and then I listen. They don't really stare at the book when she reads. They just hear what she says. So they're auditory, if that's even the word. If that's the word, they're auditory learners. So Audible is a crucial element to any book launch. I mean, it's crucial. And then 2, me reading my own book would not have been the best use of the book. So we wanted to get Scribe Publishing. We wanted to get highly qualified, really nice sounding person to read the book, and that is you.
When you were composing the book, I always know right away as I'm narrating a book, the skill level in both the writer and the editor, because the way it sounds is a big part of how it reads when somebody's reading the physical book itself, because they're hearing the words in their head to a degree.
Okay.
We're talking with Justin Breen about his book Epic Life.
How did it read to you? I want to know, how did that look to you then?
I was going to just say that when I first started reading it, the mechanism in the book of you referring back to your dad's diary, because that's what happens in the book. You'll hear, if you get the audiobook, passages of his diary that he kept during World War II.
Yeah.
And the connection between that and how you live your life now was really interesting to me. It clearly was something that was easy for me. I always find that I make fewer errors as I'm narrating, the better the book is written. And that's not only when I'm doing audiobook work, that's when I'm doing stage work, when I'm doing on-camera work, when I'm doing other voiceover work. I always find that it's so much easier to flow when the stuff is well written. And so
Thank you.
I wondered what it might have been like for you when I don't know how, as first book I've done for you, and also one of the first few books that I've done for Scribe, and I don't know exactly whether they share with you the ongoing development of the book through the process, like if they let you listen to the stuff before they do error and QC. But I do wonder, I never really get a chance to talk to the authors of books about the process.
Okay.
And so did they just present you with a finished book, or were you able to hear it as it was being done?
Okay. Good question. So as background, again, so I was a professional journalist, and I don't say this lightly, but writing a book is very easy for me. It's not hard. So that entire manuscript was written in 16 days. It was very easy. There was almost no editing at all. No edit, almost none. And any recommendations, which I appreciate that, I said no to, because I'm like, I know how to, that for me, that's easy. It's not hard. And then you brought it up, but like my litmus test and my dad's diary, that's one of the greatest things ever written. Every passage in that is, it's just it gets more and more horrific. Who's ever listening to this or watching, you can listen to the book or read it to hear, but I'm a pretty good writer. My dad was, to do that in a foxhole, and, it's just a remarkable, Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. That's my favorite book. That's number one. My dad's diary is number two. World-class. Dad was a world-class writer. So it's in my blood, I guess. It's in my blood. And so the process of the audio aspect was the manuscript was done, and then they sent me a couple clips from a certain number of folks. And I think in your bio, I think the word epic was in your bio somewhere. I'm pretty sure it was. I'm almost positive. I can look that up. I can look it up when I selected it. You want me to try and find this real quick? It'll be funny, because this is how I
if you're telling me part of your answer is when you saw that, you're like, oh, this is a sign. I gotta at least consider this guy. It just will go into a very large vat of really awesome, epic, incredibly random, but not so random reasons why people get booked. It's what I talk with my clients about all the time.
It's called Godwinks. It's Godwinks. Okay, here we go. Oh, here we go. Okay. This is it. Yeah. Okay, so David H. Lawrence, the 17th is perfect. The word epic is in his profile. Perfect for me. That's literally what I wrote.
Oh, that's what you sent back to Scribe when you picked me?
Scribe, and then Sophie May is my contact. I love it. This is a fantastic match made in heaven. So that was July 26th, 2022. Yeah, so that's what I mean. That's how I make my decision. Now, my wife is a doctor, would not make a decision like that.
She might ask for a little more.
But for me, that's one of the chapters in the book is called Godwinks. So that's what that is.
Got it.
Great.
So I wanted to take a moment to thank you so much for doing so, for picking me, and for allowing me to be on this journey with you. Justin Breen, I have one last question for you. I urge you to answer this with alacrity and with accuracy.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that word means.
Well, you'll get it. Here we go. Culver's concrete mixer or mini concrete mixer? Which one is it for you?
I'm almost insulted you asked me that question. Actually,
why is that? Is Culver's not on your list?
No, because why would you get mini of anything? That's an insulting,
I see. All right. There you go.
Well, I'll tell you why, because so they haven't put it on the, can I swear, or somewhat?
Sure.
They haven't put it on the damn board yet, but Buffalo Wild Wings in Northbrook, Glenview area. I did the Blazing Wings Challenge with my sons. My wife was there too, looking very confused at the whole situation. And you have 5 minutes to do that, and I ate it in like 1 minute and like 52 seconds.
Wow.
And later was very confused. I'm not a very large human. I'm like 5'7", maybe 150. And I just destroyed those wings. They gave me a little headband, but they still haven't put my time up there. This has been almost a year now. They haven't done it. And I ask them every time. They haven't done it, but I have a gigantic appetite, huge. Like I can eat an insane amount of food. And getting a mini concrete mixer, that's completely ridiculous and a waste of time.
All right.
You take the whole thing and you just pack. We went to, this is not what you're looking for maybe, but this is my point. We used to go to Dairy Queen for the blizzards.
Yeah.
And, they, maybe get 2 or 3 things mixed in there. I would put like 7 different candy bars in there.
Got it.
And it looked like a brown. It didn't look good, but oh my God, is that when
boy, did it taste good, right?
Oh God, it's just an incredible, like borderline diabetic coma eating that, but it's worth it. It's worth it to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you very lightly touched there on the end as to why I go mini rather than full. If I could, I would, but type 2, man, I'm working on it.
Well, okay. So that's why I run 6 days a week outside, no matter the weather conditions, because then I can eat. I can just go to town at dinner time. But yeah. So yeah, there was no not making fun of diabetic coma, but like it is that those concrete mixers. It's an interesting last question for an interview. Maybe I'll start doing that.
Here's the thing. I was just in Madison, Wisconsin for a few days.
Biggest culverts in the world. I'm
telling you, the biggest. My best friend in life lives there, and I hadn't seen him in a year, and would never been to his home in Madison. And don't tell him, but I wouldn't have gone there if they didn't have Culver's. So it was one of the reasons I headed in that direction. Yeah, exactly. Justin Breen, thank you so much for being with us. The book is called Epic Life. We'll put links in the show notes for all the versions of the books. It's out now, just out. It was so much fun doing this project with you. I really appreciate it. If you are liking what you're seeing here, smash that like button until it's unrecognizable. You can subscribe to the channel, notify your friends of this, forward it to them. My name is David H. Lawrence 17th. I thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode of the VOHeroes podcast.